Welcome to Berkeley Editions. Lovely to have you with us today in our new studio in Woolloomooloo, Sydney, Australia. I'm Robyn Berkeley, and today we're going to be speaking with my friend Di Kershaw from Australian Art Network. And we're going to have a lovely conversation. We're going to be talking about Di's company, about the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island work that she publishes, and have some fun.
Printmaking with the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders is relatively new. I mean, we started working with artists from Utopia and those regions, and then about, I guess it was 20 years ago when the Torres Strait Islander art movement actually began. It's quite unique because most of the artists have gone to Cairns TAFE, and then the lucky ones then got a scholarship and went to ANU. But the thing is, when they were at Cairns TAFE, they all were doing sort of like imitations of Aboriginal art with dotting and fish and turtles and reef animals. And they had a wonderful teacher. She's still alive. She's very elderly now, a woman called Anna Aglitis. And she is basically responsible for this art movement. What happens is, because the Torres Strait Islanders, they're not painters, they're carvers. So their natural thing is to carve. And then one day she introduced linoleum into the class. And it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And you watch them and it's extraordinary. I mean, they'll be doing this, like the background is usually always traditional patterning. And this colour here, they devised, there is not a word for it in English, but in the Torres Strait Islander language, which is called Kalulaguya. And these artists, most of them are from the Western Torres Strait. So you have like the islands, the top of Australia's here, up to Papua New Guinea. And then Alec is from Bardu. And most of the artists are from that region. There are some other artists on the far eastern side from Saibai and other islands, but mostly concentrated in this area. So this is, in Kalulaguya language, is called Kaidaral, and it's a device whereby they can apply some of the ink to the lino and apply it that way, as opposed to hand painting it onto the actual print. The patterning in the background is usually always some traditional work. With Alec, he is amazing because he has ability. He speaks total language, and he says that you can't be an artist working in this medium and representing your people if you don't speak language, because there are so many words in their language that there is no English for. Oh, I see. So, like this one word for the hand colouring. He says, like, powers that have been handed down to him, and he has like spiritual beings within him, and he says that sometimes late at night, if he's carving, he can hear the ancestors telling him certain things to actually put into the linos. And when you watch them carving, it's amazing, because there is nothing you would think, okay, so they've drawn that out on the lino and now they're going to carve it. Nothing like that. They just get a vision in their mind and off he goes, and he just starts doing all of it. Yeah, it's incredible.
So is it like a lino cut?
It's a lino cut,
okay.
Yeah, they are lino cuts. But like I said, see, they're not painters from that area. Like initially, they traded skulls with the Papua New Guineans for wood, because there weren't a lot of trees there, so they needed canoes to get around the islands. And so therefore they would carve the canoes very elaborately with designing all over it. So you have to also consider the fact that their work is going to be very, very different from mainland Indigenous people, because they're surrounded by sea, so all their totems are going to be sea. So, you know, here you have like the fish coming around here on this one, this print here, the turtle and the dugong. So in as much as these animals are protected, they are allowed to be killed for the use of the island people for food. And the other thing is too, there's a lot of ceremony that goes into this work as well. Apart from his actual art practice, Alec he's amazing. He sings, he's got the most amazing voice, and he choreographs dances. So he's going, I think it's to Geneva in a few weeks, because last year we had the exhibition in Monaco, and then part of that work's going on to Geneva there. But he has like a dance troupe, so there's 5 of them, and they're amazing. Like when we were away last year, they did about 10 different performances. He makes all the costumes. The costumes are amazing. He does
in Monaco.
Yes, and all of those costumes. That's for the traditional dance costumes. He makes all of those. He composes the tunes. He composes the dance movements. So he's got a lot of other things going on, and they're very, very disciplined. I mean, those kids, like I said last year, they did so many performances, and we were travelling all over the country trained. You can imagine the costumes, the boxes that they were going into, and you're getting on and off trains with all of this. The other thing that he's devised, which is quite interesting, is that you will be aware that for many years there were lots of masks, shields made from turtle shell. And now that it is a protected species, Alec has devised a material that he makes from fiberglass that you would absolutely think was turtle shell. Yeah. So he's sort of reinventing himself and his culture the whole time. The patternings in here.
It's quite very beautiful.
They're lovely, aren't they? And the work, I don't know, it's very distinctive because the Melanesian is the influence, because there are so many different people. I mean, in that area there, so many people went there for pearling, fishing. So, yeah, it's quite unique. And like I said, when we sort of started working with these people 15 or more years ago, this really hadn't happened. It was like a brand new thing.
And where are they printed?
The printing is done, a lot of them are done with Theo in Cannes, Theo Tremblay. But a lot of them, he has a press of his own, so he will do quite a few of them himself. He is very, very talented, Alec. He's amazing. He's very tall, so he has this amazing presence. Alec is like this tall. That's David Boson. They're David Boson's work. He again is very talented, but Alec seems to have, I think it's because of the spirituality and the dancing and the singing that you can, there's lots of people who are artists, but when more gets put into it, it's very evident when it's actually produced.
Yes. And you're also with the MCA, do they?
They have got Alec's work in their collection. In fact, he was in the Biennale down there in 2012.
Oh, okay.
So, they do have work of his down there. Not too much. They've got a few. They've got a couple of the very, very large prints. The other thing is, too, that I hadn't mentioned is that they do these incredibly large prints. Like some of them 2-3 meters long.
Right.
So, and they're done with Theo because he has that press, where you can roll. What's it?
Yes.
Yeah, that rolls over, and you can take it only goes to a certain width, but you can go for as long as you want to go. Yeah. So, and like I said, a lot of them is done with the chiral, and then a lot of them too are sort of hand coloured. The carving, then now they're doing the major sort of sculptures, the one that he did for the exhibition in Monaco, which is absolutely magnificent. That's tall, but they're done at UAP, which is a foundry in Brisbane.
Oh, okay, they're
Yeah,
very good.
they're amazing, yeah. They do incredible stuff. Another artist we represent, they've got the triennial in the National Gallery in May, Ken Thaiday, he's another Torres Strait Islander. He does the amazing headdresses.
Oh, okay, I've seen that.
You've seen those with all the feathers and they're all articulated, because that's the other thing too, that the celebrations, they're always with the headdresses and the movements, and you know, that sort of things can go up and down. I mean, you know, and I know how difficult it is. It's easily enough to find the public and attract the public, but to get the work into museums and collections can be far more difficult. And of course, you know, once you have the hearsay that, you know, okay, he's in this collection, that collection, the work is that much more, you know, people want it a lot better, yeah. So, Lily Hargraves, and that was from the Yupinji portfolio. And these, I mean, this was quite a difficult project as well. I think there were 15 prints in the portfolio. And sort of Theo then went out into, yeah, absolutely. Theo went out, was called Love, Magic and Ceremony. And so it was all a whole story. There's a book actually out about this whole body of work.
Is that the signature?
That's her signature, yes.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. But again, he went out and worked on the screens, this is silk screen, this one, with the artists in the communities, and it was a major work because then they had to be made and then taken back out to the communities for the artists to sign them. That is a beautiful print, it's beautiful colours.
They're all lovely dye.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
But I do especially love these.
Yeah, I love the linos. I just think they're so... And that's lovely because, you know, all of the works come with a story. So that's what one of the endearing features about them is. We also did those skate decks, but they've all finished now. They all sold out. Okay. So we had a guy approached us and he took some of the files and then laser cut them onto skate decks, and they were really, really popular. They weren't coloured, they were just like the wooden, because you know with the skate deck it has several layers of wood and the colour goes differently through the layers, so you'd get different colours coming through them. They were really good. We've been friends for many, many years, and it's nice to have somebody that you like-minded sort of conversations with. I mean, you and I, probably the same, have so many friends who aren't involved in anything, and it's the lunching and golfing, hello, and so that is... Spare me, not the football. So, no, I mean, it's funny because, you know, some friends of mine have said, oh, well, you know, I'm going to retire. And I said to a friend the other day, I said, think very seriously about it. I said, cut it back to 3 or 4 days a week, but do something. Because, I mean, I don't know what we would do if we didn't get up and go and do something. I mean, you can't spend every day with grandchildren, can you? No, indeed not. And it's a reason you don't have to then. Exactly.
Even though we love them.
We adore them. Yeah, but no, we all have to have a life of our own.
But it's also, you have something to talk about.
It is, but it's...
But as you said, isn't golf or...
It's an interest, you know. I find, you know, I'm having lunch or something or dinner with some people and the conversation goes around and I think, hang on a minute, what are we doing here? You know, it's... so I think we're very lucky that when we get to this age in our lives, we still are able to do this, quite frankly. Yeah. I mean, you remember Stuart Purvis's mother, God, Annie Purvis, she was about 150 and she was going to work every day. So,
she was fabulous.
Yeah, amazing, yeah. But, I mean, it does keep the mind sort of sorted.
Well, the latest for us is that this is a new way to show art on a projector. Yeah,
that's fabulous. I love that.
Yeah. And so we don't have to have... We'll be copied now once it gets out there, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
So it means you don't have to have all the stock or any stock. I mean, we do have some stock here, but you don't have to have the amounts of stock.
Exactly.
Spend ages trying to find something and bring it out and show someone. And do it 20 times.
Yeah, sometimes it's too much information, isn't it? It's like...
And are there any Indigenous artists doing or specialising in photography or video?
Oh, the one place.
Fabulous video.
The one place is, oh God, what's his name? Will Stubbs. So he is the art coordinator, I think it's at Urukala, and he does amazing things. There is a work on display down at the MCA in the collection, and it's taking different aspects and printing them into sections. And I think it's called The Wave, and it takes up one entire wall, but it's like three-dimensional. Some of the work's coming out, and he has done amazing videos. He's done, incredible things with, there's some work of some of these artists actually in the National at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, and they've sort of printed them onto aluminium and various other forms. So yeah, he is very out there, and they have done quite a few videos.
There'll be some fantastic videos of aboriginality.
There is. I mean, yeah, it's quite extraordinary that with the art centres, it's very, very, very dependent on who the coordinator is. Cecilia, who used to work for us, she's at Wallarungu, I can never pronounce the word, Wallakarungu, and she has done incredibly well there. I mean, she just turned it around. No, Will is amazing. He's not Indigenous, but he's married to an Aboriginal woman. And again, he knows all of the culture. He's been there for years. Normally those jobs only last a few years and the people will, move on. But and then of course, there's the Cairns Indigenous Art Fair.
Is that every year?
Yep, that's in July. So we're doing that. So that'll be interesting. There's a lot of other interesting work coming out of there. There's another artist up there, we don't represent him, called Brian Robinson, and Brian does some amazing things. If you saw that video in the book of the work in Monaco and those big crabs that were on the outside of the building, they're Brian's. And also the bagus, the statues that are at the front, they come from another art centre. So there is a lot of other works. I mean, then there's the ghost netting. So there's many forms.
Yes, I've read something about that.
The ghost netting is an amazing, amazing thing. It all began with the people how the fishermen spread the nets out into the ocean, and of course they get the fish and then they leave the net there. So what the people did was gathered all of the nets and then they started making artworks out of them. They are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And they started out very modestly, but now they just do incredible things. So that, and I mean, see, everybody, when we had the gallery, people would walk in and say, "Where's the dot paintings?" I mean, nobody has any vision other than, and I was quite...
They were the first ones out, weren't they? Really?
Well, of course, it came from Papania, yeah. But, I mean, you're going to school. Did you ever learn anything about Aboriginality or art? And now it is, apparently. So, yeah.
You look a bit Al Jolson-y.
Oh, do I?
With your white gloves and your black.
Oh my God! Oh boy. With Indigenous art, Australian Indigenous art, every area of the country, depending on their culture, their heritage, has a different form of artwork. So you're not going to go to the centre of Australia and see somebody doing something like this. Like I said, the Torres Strait is actually just surrounded by water. So you're going to see dugongs, turtles, crayfish, and they're very much very, very spiritual about the winds. I mean, they won't go out fishing if the wind is coming the wrong way, and so that it's very dependent on that. The dot painting all began in the centre of the country. In Tasmania, you have, there is one amazing photographer, is Ricky Maynard, who is from he's from Tasmania. He went to Melbourne on, I think, a football scholarship or something, and then got a job of taking photos for a local newspaper. But he has recorded all the mutton birding all through Tasmania. Okay, right. Yeah, and he's done some amazing work. He did a whole series. If you ever see work by him, it's extraordinary. And he does, and of course you have Tracy Moffat. Yes. You have forgotten about her. I mean, her work is incredible. And I mean, she's in every major collection, major exhibition. So yes, there's lots of other people like, we've got some work actually in the National, another artist called Julie Goff, and she traced her heritage back to Tasmania. She's from Melbourne. And so she then did this whole thing of how, the Aboriginal people were totally massacred in Tasmania. And she then did this incredible study whereby she went around and checked out all of these colonial estates that the white settlers came and lived in and, established for themselves. And, the whole thing is that they chopped down all the trees so that the Aboriginal people couldn't sit under the trees to shelter from the sun and the elements. And this particular work that she has down there now, it's like a video and it takes you around the island focusing on all of these estates. And then what she has, she's done the carpet on the ground in sort of like that terrible red and green flocky carpet that would have gone into the houses. And then there's a table, like about the size of this, are these crucifixes with a stone on the top. So each crucifix has the name of the actual estate. And then the rock is taken from the entrance to the driveway that goes into the colonial estate. So it's very, very sort of thought-provoking. Like then you have other work like from Western Australia. I mean, you like in the top part, like the Balgos, where like people like Rover Thomas and Paddy Bedford, and it's very obvious that work because it's all of the Balgos, it's all the hills. So, and then further down, we had some other works at the MCA. They're done right along the Canning Stock route. The other thing is too that with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art, nothing is done like that. It's all done like that. So when you see a landscape, we had some work there, it was like meters long, and it was sort of done by 10 different artists. So they'd all done a patch of the work and like some pilots.
That's unusual though with Aboriginal.
Well, it's very much community based. Nearly all of these artists begin by going to the community centre, and so they start painting. It's quite unusual. Although with these people, they can sort of see the carving they can do at home. They can just sort of sit down with a sheet of lino and start working on it. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, there's a lot going on out there, Robyn.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
yes.
Good. That's very
Yes.
Good. Thank you, Di, for coming today.
Thank you, Robyn. Pleasure.
You're a
lovely
wealth
to
of
see you.
information as usual.
Oh, absolutely. No, well, it's easy to talk about something you love.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would love you to join us on Facebook and Instagram.